Alright guys, we have some potential breaking news. Apparently there have been some leaks for Lostbelt 7 as we are getting really close to Lostbelt 7 releasing. The Lostbelt 6 campaign is supposed to be in November, and then after that we're pretty much just waiting for Lostbelt 7 to release after that point because we'll have caught up with the entirety of the campaign. But with it being so close, we now have some leaks, and all I want to say is that in the past, we've gotten some very, very strong leaks. Like the Summer 7 leaks pretty much told us everything we were going to be getting. And as we were watching the live stream, I still remember people in chat were like, oh my gosh, they were completely right about all of the leaks. Like the leaks were completely accurate. And the same thing happened for Lostbelt 5.2. Although the only thing that was a little sussy for 5.2 is that it was like, oh yeah, we're getting Ruler Zeus, and I'm like, yeah, technically we got Ruler Zeus, quote unquote. Is just an enemy. He wasn't actually summonable or anything. But aside from that, the leaks are always pretty good, right? They give us a good general idea of where things are going. Although I will say that it does look a little sus to me, right? That's all I'm going to be saying. There's some characters that make sense given that we're supposed to be in like the Amazons, right? We're going to be in like Central/South America in that area. There's some characters that make a lot of sense, and there's some of them that I'm not sure if like the person that dropped the leaks is just messing with us, right? And maybe it's not accurate, or if the story is just going to go completely off the walls bonkers, and you guys will see in just a second. But again, I'm just showing the wiki right now, that way you didn't click on the video and you didn't just like get blasted by the spoilers, right? I at least wanted to give some people that maybe want to, you know, go in spoiler free potentially, because again, these are just leaks, right? They're not confirmed to be true or anything so far until we actually get the stuff in game where they announce the characters or something like that. It's not 100%, but if you just don't want to get spoiled, or maybe, you know, get too hyped, or maybe it would disappoint you because of some of the servants that are there, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of time to go ahead and leave off the video. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at the leaks after I think I've bored everybody else that did not want to get spoiled by anything. First and foremost, though, this was brought to my attention by someone in my Discord, and they got it from All Muscle's tweet. So shout out to the boy All Muscle for, you know, keeping us informed and making it kind of presentable. So anyway, let's look over here. So as you guys can see, there's some interesting stuff on here. And actually, if you're not like a Type Moon lore buff, some things on here might be really confusing. So let's just kind of break this down one at a time. Now, I'm not as familiar with Kukulan, or whoever, I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I'm not as familiar with that, but Tetzalcoatl does make a lot of sense. I am familiar with them being very important to like the general Central American lore, and like being a part of like the deities and such over there, being a part of in relation to like Quetzalcoatl, and I believe their name is like Yugioh. It's like starts with an X or something. Like they're also like a rival character to Quetzalcoatl, so that makes sense. But the thing that's really strange is that it's Tetzalcoatl equals Ort, and he's a foreigner. So that's a little strange, and if you're not a Type Moon lore buff, you might be like, who the heck is Ort, or what is an Ort? Well, the Ort cloud is something that comes from, if I'm remembering correctly, it comes from notes, and it's like this big grandiose deal. I'm assuming that like all the super lore buffs like in the comments right now are just going absolutely ballistic, because Ort is kind of like a big deal in the same way as like getting Arcoid as Type Moon is a really big deal for FGO. Like it's this, like, I don't want to say more obscure part of Type Moon's lore, but I don't know how many people even know about notes and like the Ort cloud or all of the other types and stuff along those lines. So it's kind of a big deal that they're pulling from this. I'm just not sure how much sense it actually makes tying into Lostbelt 7. I do have a bit of like my older Type Moon lore. It's very, very vague to me, right? I don't remember 100% all of it, but I do recall that I believe it's type Venus, and it's like this spider that lives in the Amazon. I believe it has some relation to oh, what is his name? Zelrich. And Zelrich is like, oh, I'm not ready to go fight that thing yet, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. I thought that would have made more sense, unless I'm forgetting, and then that Type Venus is also related to Ort. I may be messing up right now, and I know that the lore heads in the comments are probably just going absolutely ballistic, and you could probably just find someone in the comments, and they're probably gonna drop their Bible chapter of like what all this means. But that in and of itself is really interesting if this is going to be true, because Tetzalcoatl is a character you would expect to be in this Lost Belt, given that it's going to be in like Central America / the Amazons, right? The Ort thing is a little strange. And also, I think it's interesting that it's going to be a foreigner and not a pretender, right? So it's not going to be like an Oberon situation. Not going to spoil Lost Belt 6 for anybody, but it's not going to be similar to what Oberon did. It seems like it's going to be more maybe upfront, and he's not really going to be hiding his true intentions. Something else that's really hype, the Berserker Wukong. This means that David's Grand Berserker is more than likely going to be Sun Wukong, which I think is really sick. If you guys have been coming out to my streams for like the last year and a half, I've been just praying that Grand Berserker was going to be Sun Wukong because I just thought it made so much sense. I was like, this makes sense why they haven't done anything with Wukong yet, right? They've been saving him for something big because Sun Wukong in Journey to the West is like a huge, big deal. I mean, it's like one of the most famous pieces of literature, and like Wukong is just a big deal overall. I mean, bro, Goku is modeled after Sun Wukong, and he's like the protagonist of one of the most popular anime of all time, all right? Wukong's a big deal. And so I was super excited when I saw this in the leak, but again, I'm trying to reserve my judgment a little bit and like kind of maybe pull back my hype a little bit because I don't know what they're going to do with the writing for it. So for one, this could not even be true at all whatsoever, because again, these are still leaks, but it also could be something like more messed up. Like it might not actually be the Wukong we know of, right? We know there's a lot of Fate servants that are not meant to be taken just at their face value, right? Because they have a bunch of weird stuff that has happened to them that is, you know, transformed kind of how their character functions, right? I mean, look at like half the servants being gender bent, right? So that this is something that I'm like really excited for, and I think is potentially going to be super cool. But I'm tempering my expectations a little bit because until I actually see it in the game or until they announce it on a live stream or something, I'm going to be holding back a little bit because, you know, maybe it's like not the Wukong I'm expecting. But these next two characters I'm not as familiar with. I'm not as familiar with Manuela and the Maya twins, so I'm sure somebody in the comments will go ahead and be like, the Maya twins are actually Mayans who predicted something big, right? And they're a big deal. But new Saber, new caster, sounds pretty good to me. But Hernando Cortez, this is actually pretty cool because this is the guy that was basically looking for the 7 cities of gold. And I'm kind of excited because he's a 3-star rider. And I'm like, that means we might actually have someone that competes with Ushi for like best budget rider, right? Because I know Ushi is still pretty much regarded as like the best budget writer in the game, and I'm kind of inclined to agree. I think Ushi's pretty good. So I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with Hernando Cortez. Is he going to be a farming unit, or is he going to try to be like a budget DPS like Ushi Wakamaru is? And I don't know, it's kind of exciting. I can't wait to see what they do with him. Then we have new materials coming out, as we do with like most story chapters. So I hope you guys are ready to farm leaves. You know, I hope you're ready to have 300 leaves in your inventory. I think the Crystal Skull is cool, but that's just because I'm a fan of Indiana Jones. So, you know, that's the only reason that I'm like, oh, cool, Crystal Skulls, that's awesome. Then we're going to have Simon Bolivar. We're going to have Malinche. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, but these are not going to be like characters that we can summon. They're going to be NPC only, as you know, indicated by the title right there. But this is a little sussy, right? Grand Saber Artoria Avalon. That's a little suspicious, right? Because what does Artoria have to do with any of this at all? Now, I thought it would have made sense if it was Arthur, because Arthur is the one that is like traveling through different, you know, dimensions and realms, hunting down B6, right? He's hunting down pretty much like the biblical dragon Hydra thing that like Satan becomes at the end of the Bible, right? He's hunting that guy down from Fate Prototype. So I thought that would have made more sense. But if it's going to be Artoria, I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about it, because I'm like, is she just gonna like pop in randomly? Is like Castoria gonna turn into Grand Saber Artoria? Because like that's kind of stuff that happened with her, you know. It's just very I don't know, like I'm very confused as to like what this actually is going to entail as far as the story is concerned. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to theories in the comments down below, because this is the one that's probably the most baffling for me. Because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, Grand Saber, that's really cool. It'll be Arthur, and Arthur will just like teleport in, and we'll finally get to see like a full power you know, Arthur. But I don't know, I'm thinking like my best bet is if it's going to actually be Artorium, my best bet is that maybe it'll tie into Castoria in some way. It'll be like some form that Castoria take, because it's NPC only. So maybe it'll just be something that she like takes upon herself, or I don't know, maybe the Knights of the Round Table are booling out here in Lostbelt 7. I have no idea why they would be, because that's like has no relation at all to Wukong or anything Mesoamerican, right? Like just has no relation at all. So I have no idea. But regardless, these leaks look pretty cool. I'm actually pretty hyped about this. The Ort thing I think could be very interesting. That'll introduce a lot of people to the more older Type Moon lore and all that stuff, and you know, Ort's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that. I think Wukong, if he's going to be Grand Berserker, is something that I'm going to be super gassed up for. Hernando Cortez, I'm kind of interested to see what they're going to do, and with like the Cities of Gold, I imagine that'll have something to do with his NP. And then this Grand Saber Artoria Avalon. I have no idea what they're doing over there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe for that sweet daily FGO content. Yeah, I'm doing the plug at the end of the video because, you know, I wanted to make sure that I gave people towards the beginning of the video time to leave. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace, late guys.